I'm gonna keep reading the book. Last time I liked at the page 31, and I'm gonna continue from the sound of the approaching grain. Alright. The sound of the approaching grain teams was louder. Thud of big hooves on hard ground, drag of brakes, and the jungle of chase chains. Men were calling back and forth from the teams. George, sitting on the bunk beside Lenny, frowned as he thought. Lenny asked timidly, "You ain't mad, George?" "I ain't mad at you. I'm mad at this here curly bastard. I hoped we was gonna get a little stake together, maybe $100. His tone grew decisive. "You keep away from Curly, Lenny." "Sure I will, George. I won't say a word." "Don't let him pull you in, but if the son of a bitch socks you, let him leave it." Let him have what, George?" Never mind. I'll tell you when. I hate that kind of guy. Look, Lenny, if you get in any kind of trouble, you remember what I told you to do." Lenny raised up on his elbow. His face contorted with thought. Then his eyes moved sadly to George's face. "If I get in any trouble, you ain't gonna let me tend these rabbits." The rabbits. "That's not what I meant. You remember where we slept last night? Down by the river." "Yeah, I remember." "Oh, sure, I remember." I go there and hide in the brush. Hide till I come for you. Don't let nobody see you." "Hide in the brush by the river." Say that over. "Hide in the brush by the river. Down in the brush by the river. If I get in trouble, brake scratched outside. A call came. Stable, Buck." "Oh, stable, Buck." George said, "Say it over to yourself, Lenny, so you won't forget it." Both men glanced up, for the rectangle of sunshine in the doorway was cut off. A girl was standing there looking in. She had full, rugged lips and wide spaced eyes. Heavily made up, his fingernails were red. Her hair hung in little rolled clusters like sausages. She wore a cotton house dress and red mouse, on the insteps of which were little buckets of red ostrich feathers. "I'm looking for Curly," she said. Her voice had a nasal, brittle quality. George looked away from her and then back. "He was in here a minute ago, but he went." "Oh," she put her hands behind her back and leaned against the door frame so that her body was thrown forward. "You're the new fellas that just come, ain't ya?" "Yeah." Lenny's eyes moved down over her body, and though she did not seem to be looking at Lenny, she bridled a little. She looked at her fingernails. "Sometimes Curly's in here," she explained. George said brusquely, "Well, he ain't now. If he ain't, I guess I better look someplace else," she said playfully. Lenny watched her, fascinated. George said, "If I see him, I'll pass the word you was looking for him." She smiled archly and twitched her body. "Nobody can't blame a person for looking," she said. There were footsteps behind her. Going by, she turned her hand. "Hi, Slim," she said. Slim's voice came through the door. "Hi, good looking. I'm trying to find Curly, Slim." "Well, you ain't trying very hard. I seen I seen him going in your house." She was suddenly apprehensive. "Bye, boys," she called into the bunkhouse, and she hurried away. George looked around at Lenny. "Jesus, what a tramp," he said. So that's what Curly picks for a wife." She's pretty," said Lenny defensively. "Yeah, and she's sure hiding it." Curly got his work ahead of him, but she cleared off for $20. Lenny still stared at the doorway where she had been. Gosh, she was pretty. He smiled admiringly. George looked quickly down at him, and then he took him by an ear and shook him. "Listen to me, you crazy bastard," he said fiercely. Don't even take a look at that bitch. I don't care what she says and what she does. I've seen poison before. I never seen no piece of jail bait worse than her. You leave her be." Lenny tried to disengage his ear. "I never done nothing, George." "No, you never. But when she was standing in the doorway, showing her legs, you wasn't looking the other way neither." "I never meant to harm, George, honest, I never." "Well, you keep away from her, 'cause she's a rat trap if I ever seen one. You let Curly take the rap. He let himself in for a glove full of Vaseline. George said disgustedly. "And I bet he's in raw eggs and riding to the patent medicine houses." Lenny cried out suddenly. "I don't like this place, George. This ain't no good place. I want to get out of here. We gotta keep it till we get a steak. We can't help it. No better than you do." He went back to the table and set out a new solitaire hand. "No, I don't like it," he said. For 2 bits, I'd shove out of here. If we can get just a few dollars in the poke, we'll shove and go up in the American River and pan gold. We can make maybe a couple of dollars a day there, and we might hit a bucket." Lenny leaned eagerly toward him. "Let's go, George. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. It's mean here." "We gotta stay," George said softly. "Shut up now. The guys will be coming in." From the washroom nearby came the sound of running water and stattling basins. George studied the cards. "Maybe we oughta wash up," he said, "but we ain't done nothing to get dirty." A tall man stood in the doorway. He held a crushed Stetson hat under his arm while he combed his long black damp hair straight back. Like the others, he wore blue jeans and a short denim jacket. When he had finished combing his hair, he moved into the room, and he moved with a majesty only achieved by royalty and master craftsman. He was Jerkline Skinner, the prince of the ranch, capable of driving 10, 16, even 20 miles with a single line to the leaders. He was capable of killing a fly on the whirler's butt with a bull whip without touching the mole. There was a gravity in his manner and a quiet so profound that all talk stopped when he spoke. His authority was so great, and his word was taking on any subject, be it politics or love. This was Slim or Slim. The jerkline Skinner. He hatchet face. His hatchet face was ageless. He might have been 35 or 50. His ear heard more than was said to him, and his slow speech had overtones not of thought, but of understanding beyond thought. His hands, large and lean, were as delicate in their action as those of temple dancer. He smoothed out his crushed hat, creased it in the middle, and put it on. He looked kindly at the two in the bunkhouse. It's brighter a bitch outside, he said gently. Can't hardly see nothing in here. You notice you the new guys? You the new guys? Just come, said George. Gonna bug Barley? That's what the boss says. Slim sat down in a box across the table from George. He studied a solitary hand that was upside down to him. Hope you get on my team, he said. His voice was very gentle. I got a pair of punks on my team that don't know a barley bag from a blue ball. You guys ever bugged any barley? Hell yes, said George. Ain't nothing to scream about. But that big bastard there can put out more grain along than most pears can. Lanny, who had been following the conversation back and forth with his eyes, smiled complacently at the compliment. Slim looked approvingly at George for having given the compliment. He leaned over the table and snapped the corner of a loose card. You guys travel around together? His tone was friendly. It invited confidence without demanding it. Sure, said George. We're gonna look after each other. He indicated Lenny with his thumb. He ain't bright. Hell of a good worker though. Hell of a nice fella. But he ain't bright. I've knew him for a long time. Slim looked through George and beyond him. Ain't many guys travel around together, he mused. I don't know why. Maybe everybody in the whole damn world is scared of each other. It's a lot nicer to go around with a guy, you know, said George. A powerful, big-stomached man came into the bunkhouse. His head still dripped water from scrubbing and dousing. Hi, Slim, he said, and then stopped and stared at George and Lenny. These guys just come, said Slim by way of introduction. Glad to meet you, the big man said. My name's Carson. I'm George Melton, and here's Lenny Small. Glad to meet you, Carson said again. He ain't very small. He chuckled softly at his joke. Ain't small at all, he repeated. Mean to ask you, Slim, how's your bitch? I seen she wasn't under your wagon this morning. She slung her pups last night, said Slim. None of them. I drawn 4 of them right off. She couldn't feed that many. Got 5 left, huh? Yeah, 5. I kept the biggest. What kind of dogs you think they're gonna be? I don't know, said Slim. Some kind of shepherd, I guess. That's the most kind I seen around here when she was in heat. Carlson went on. Got 5 pups, huh? Gotta keep all of them? I don't know. Have to keep keep them a while so they can drink Lulu's milk? Carlson said thoughtfully, well, look at here, Slim. Look at here, Slim. I've been thinking that dog of Candy is so goddamn old he can't hardly walk. Stinks like hell too. Every time he comes into the bunkhouse, I can smell him from 2-3 days. Why don't you get Candy to shoot his old dog and drive him one of the pups to raise up? I can smell that dog a mile away. Got no teeth, damn near blind, can't eat. Candy feeds him milk. He can't chew nothing else. George had been staring intently at Slim. Suddenly, a triangle began to rain outside. Slowly at first, and then faster and faster until the beat of it disappeared into one raining sound. It stopped as suddenly as it had started. There she goes, said Carson. Outside, there was a burst of voices as a group of men went by. Slim stood up, slowly and with dignity. You guys better come on while they still eat something to eat. Won't be nothing left in a couple of minutes. Carlson stepped back to let Slim precede him, and then two of them went out the door. Lenny was watching George excitedly. George rambled his cards into a messy pile. Yeah, George said. I heard him, Lenny. I'll ask him. A brown and white one. Lenny cried excitedly. Come on, let's get dinner. I don't know whether he got a brown and white one. Lenny didn't move from his bunk. You ask him right away, George, so he won't kill no more of them. Sure, come on now. Get up on your feet. Lenny rolled off his bunk and stood up. And the two of them started for the door. Just as they reached it, Curly bounced in. You seen a girl around here? He demanded angrily. George said coldly, about half an hour ago, maybe. Well, what the hell was she doing? George stood still, watching the angry little man. He said insultingly, she said she was looking for you. Curly seemed really to see George for the first time. His eyes flashed over George. Took in his height, measured his reach, looked at his trim middle. Well, which way she go? He demanded at last. I don't know, said George. I didn't watch her go. Curly scowled at him and turning, hurried out the door. George said, you know, Lenny, I'm scared I'm gonna tangle with that bastard myself. I hate his guts. Jesus Christ, come on, there won't be a damn thing left to eat. They went out the door. The sunshine lay in a thin line under the window. From a distance there would be heard a rattle of dishes. After a moment, the ancient dog walked lamely in through the open door. He gazed about with mild, half-blind eyes. He sniffed, and then lay down and put his head between his paws. Curly popped into the doorway again and stood looking into the room. The dog raised his head, but when Curly jerked out, the grizzled head sank to the floor again. Alright, so that's for today. And I finished chapter 2, and next day I'll continue reading from chapter 3, which is the page 39. Alright, so that's for today. If you like the video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Yes, sir.